everyone, and welcome to Starting on the Bench with Tim V. It's a place where normal people can talk about the sports they love. And on today's topic, we have ESPN's documentary called Last Dance. It's a documentary. It's a 10-part series documentary about Michael Jordan. I almost said LeBron James. Michael Jordan and Chicago Bulls of 1990s. Which actually still remains as one of the greatest dynasties in basketball history. That's insane to think that it was about, 30 years ago or something like that. I'm 26, so I wasn't alive for whenever they went on and won all of those championships and all of that. But however, I grew up, I live in Europe, I'm European, so growing up, I heard about Chicago Bulls, which is crazy because I live in Europe. This is American sport. Basketball obviously is international, but Chicago Bulls is an American organization and NBA is an American league. So for people like me to hear about it and hear about the dynasty and hear about the success they had is pretty unique. So ESPN apparently decided to have a documentary about it. And on this podcast, obviously, we're talking about sports, but we also talk about the love of sports, right? And definitely this documentary falls into that category that we're able to enjoy the sports we grew up with, or our parents have loved watching, our families and all of that, or sports that unite us together as a community. And this is one of the documentaries that allow us to have that window into what it was like in the early 90s and for this team, and behind the curtain, so to speak, behind this great person of Michael Jordan. You see, you get to understand that he's one of those characters where he goes beyond the understanding of basketball, beyond the understanding of the sport, and he becomes this image, this icon that everybody is able to enjoy, have a room to enjoy it. And so this 10-part series documentary that's gonna come out on ESPN and stuff like that serves as a window to how it was as a team effort to win all of those championship rings. And not only about Michael, even though some would argue that he led them, there was Michael Jordan himself that led everybody to that championship. Because if you're not really understanding the whole concept of how not just how basketball works, but if you don't understand what it takes for that 5-people team to plus bench, we're starting on the bench, so we respect the bench, we love the bench, we start on the bench, right? But Michael Jordan is somebody who everybody admires, who everybody, a lot of people look up to him, and especially with this whole situation with Kobe that happened, and everybody was just crying out and understanding that, you're more than an athlete, and obviously you're more than just the sport that people watch. You're this character, this person that everybody gets to, as I said earlier, they put you on this pedestal, and they are able to see you as somebody who allows you to escape all the terrible things in your life. You understand that, like, one day I want to be like him, And growing up, everybody said, I want to be like Michael Jordan. Everybody who plays basketball, I want to be like Michael Jordan. The other thing is everybody's like, I want to be like Magic Johnson. And for me personally, who I'm a huge fan, not because I'm white, don't get me wrong. 2 people that I absolutely loved watching. Okay, maybe 3. Scottie Pippen, which he's such a funny person. And his voice right now, he should be doing podcasts or something like that. Second one is Magic Johnson, because the guy is so funny. Oh my goodness. And the third is Larry Bird, because of his charisma, and everybody's like, yeah, but Larry Bird is such a trash talker. So I hope somebody comes up with a documentary on my Magic Bird. What the? Magic Bird? Hold on. No. Larry Bird. What's going on, man? This whole Rona situation is getting into my head, but it's going to be interesting. But in 1990s, we don't hear about the global broadcasting or international fans, right? Basketball, it just became this phenomenon where, like, you obviously is a sports player, and growing up, I realized that hockey has been this huge thing where I grew up watching hockey because Ukraine and Russia, we were really close, and then you got cold winters and all of that, so Olympic sports, running and all of that, swimming especially, boxing has been huge because of the Klitschko brothers, right? But all of a sudden, in 1990, you get this global broadcasting and international fans that were able to reach this level of success that nobody has seen before, right? So this becomes not only this nationwide in the United States or maybe in Canada or Mexico, but this touches the Western Europe, the Eastern Europe, it becomes this global phenomenon, which is super interesting. And as a Ukrainian, I've heard about the Chicago Bulls and Magic Johnson and all of that, but because it became this international thing, which is, forgive me for repeating, but I want you to understand how big you have to be right now, obviously with social media and everything, but we're talking about the 1990s where there was no internet, barely any cool phones coming out. Was an iPhone came out in 2007, flip phones and all of that, like in early 2000s and all of that, right? A little early in that, you got this giant phone that only, one every million person had it, right? But at that time, how good you had to be in order to be in the U.S. on Friday and Saturday, during the week, then fly somewhere like to Tokyo or something like for a weekend, and then everybody would be knowing your name and how you look like because you play basketball in the States. That kind of thing. That's a huge impact, not just on the sport but on the world. And we see that in Jordans, right? Everybody knows what a Jordan is. If you're wearing Jordans, you've got this like upper level. You got that level of success. I'm the person I'm Under Armour person, so I guess Jordan send me a pair or something like that. But it took them about 3 years to show everything that was there to know about this glorious sports team, to humanize them and to praise them and all at the same time, right? So it took them about, I believe, 3 years to film everything, to put all of the pieces and clips and all of that together, stories. They interviewed people, the players, the coaches, what is it? We only seen the trailer, so I'm looking forward to April. I'm not April. We're already in April, but looking forward to whenever it comes out. I think April 17th. So that's something that will be interesting, right? To hear not just from the players, because obviously they're gonna give us the most information about how they felt, how was it having so many eyeballs on them and having so much pressure to perform day in and day out. This is not they have an 82 game season, which is crazy if you're a football fan like I am. You got 17 weeks and then you have to wait half a year for another season and all that, but they got 82 games, so you have to perform every single night. There are no days off, right? Obviously during the summer maybe, but they have to perform every single time. So this documentary is definitely gonna give you a glimpse of not just the sports but everything that surrounded them, right? So you might be asking me, when can we watch that? Tim, you already sold everything for, like I'm hooked. I really want to see it. Which the title, by the way, there's a little backstory. The Last Dance, that apparently was a phrase when they realized, okay, this is we'll never be able to repeat this again. So this is our last dance. So this is us performing. So the last, the last championship that they won, they called it The Last Dance. And so then the name of the documentary, which is really smart, I really like it, a great promotional material. So definitely cool. So when can we have it, or when can we see it? So since every single major sport has been postponed or canceled, the ESPN has moved their premiere to April. It was supposed to air a week after the NFL Finals was gone. Whoever was supposed to be there, probably LeBron and somebody else, right? But then they wanted to do it a week after so that everybody's like, okay, everybody's calmed down and all that. So they're able to see, a 10-part series. But now, because there are no sports and all of that, they are releasing it in April, right? April 19th. I apologize. The series will premiere on April 19th, 9 p.m. Eastern Central Time, and air on Sunday nights every 5 weeks. Over 5 weeks through May 17th. So, so if it's 5 weeks, then they're going to show two episodes or two series. is it called episodes? That's called episodes every week. So it's going to be really interesting. I know that you can, if you have ESPN, I think they're showing on ESPN Plus, which makes more sense. Thankfully, I do have ESPN Plus. That's $5 a month or something like that, which is crazy. Only one. We have 7.5 billion people, almost 8 billion people, but only 1 million people have ESPN Plus. So that should give you the perspective. But ESPN, nothing bad. If you want, you can, I'm your guy. I would love to, get hired by ESPN in the future. So I'm speaking into existence. Anyway, so it's gonna be in April 19th until May 17th. So you're going to have enough time and all of that. Now, if you ask me, Tim, I don't have ESPN Plus. What do I need to do? So you can either watch it on ESPN or Netflix. That's going to be outside of the U.S. and probably on YouTube. So if you live in Europe or anywhere outside of the U.S., you're able to watch it on Netflix, which is really going to be interesting. From a marketing perspective, I think they're going to get a lot of money for the documentary. So obviously, it took them 3 years to put everything together, and I think they already finished filming and everything. So, I'm sorry, not just filming, but editing and stuff. So, I think it's gonna be pretty cool to have it on Netflix because you can watch it without any commercials and all of that. ESPN, obviously, but who knows? Probably it's gonna end up on YouTube or something like that. So, I'm all for copyright, but YouTube is YouTube, so can't really do much about it. So that year, Michael Jordan was good, but nothing beats Chicago Bulls 1990s. So that's something that I think it's not just gonna be about one person. I always felt like this documentary, because I've heard about it a couple of months ago, and I'm like, oh, interesting. I guess it's about Michael Jordan, because in the trailer, it was, I think they had like a 20-second snippet clip where it's just him, and I was like, oh, it's probably about Michael Jordan. I'm still curious. I love documentaries because I get to learn, so just like podcasts, I love listening to podcasts and different, people talk about different stuff, especially like everybody's like, oh, Joe Rogan or whatever, but I like podcasts, right? But you learn from it, right? You learn because you listen to more information, all of that. So I thought, no, that's definitely going to be interesting because Michael Jordan accomplished so much during his lifetime, and being on the championship team and then getting a brand on and then signing people to his brand, to the Jordans and all of that. So it's going to be interesting. I thought so. But then we're talking about the whole team, which I love team sport because it's never about one person. It's about a team effort. So this is going to be interesting. So what will the effects be? What will the effects of this series be on us? Now, this is something that I want to, unfortunately, 15 minutes or 10 minutes into the podcast, right? I think that this series is gonna encourage, allow the next generation who didn't grow up watching MJ play, understand what a freak of an athlete he was. I want you to understand that Michael Jordan was somebody who, if he was one in a million players, obviously you got. I'm a huge fan of Allen Iverson in the 2000s. And so when I started watching him playing for the 76ers, and then him going and doing random stuff with other teams, which, broke my heart as a kid, but I really enjoyed watching basketball players because it's like, it's interesting, right? But I never had the ability to watch him outside, right? The social media wasn't that popular, or they didn't have Instagram or anything like that. So I think this series will allow to, people my age or younger, or people who are so crazy. Right now, people like, was it Zion Williamson? He's 19 years old. The kid is 7 years younger than me, and he's killing it, right? So I think it will allow him to see Michael Jordan. If you're not able to be friends with him or be close in close proximity, it will allow you to see a little bit of his life, or preparations and all of that, and how life was in those early stages of basketball, right? Early stages, when it's like, it was about the sport, not about how much money you get and all that. Because I worked with this team called Postgame, which kind of like I'm sidetracking a little bit, but it should make sense, right? I worked with this team called Postgame in Europe, and it's a platform for international basketball players who are able, or athletes in general, who are able to graduate from the sports they played all their lives into a new thing that they want to do, right? And you growing up and playing the same sport over and over again, and all of a sudden, it's like you don't, you love the sport, but you want to be successful, right? And so I think that this is a great window to understand the new athletes, the new people, for them to understand that this is not just about the sports. You have to have a good life outside of the sport as well, and new information coming out of people saying like Floyd Mayweather, who said like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like everybody needs to watch you play. What do you do outside the field or off the field? It doesn't matter, or off the court. It doesn't matter, because what matters is you playing and getting those championships, which I do not agree, because it makes no sense. Like whoever you are off the field, off the court, is going to be the same person you're on the field or on the court, right? So this is very interesting. So I think that that's going to give a window into who Michael Jordan was. Second thing is, I think it will definitely benefit every single athlete. I already said that, but I want you to understand that it will benefit probably more documentaries on that. I know that I was looking it up to prepare for this podcast. That's right, I prepare to look into and understand that there's so many documentaries that's coming out right now, and not just on basketball or on football, especially with Tom Brady going in, and being in Tampa Bay right now, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, we have to have a documentary on his life, and this is going to be very interesting. But not just basketball, any other sport. I know that previously we talked about AFL, but them having documentaries on that sport, them highlighting teams, them highlighting different people who are changing the course of history. Listen, you are able to carry a ball yards down the field, right? You got was it what's his name? AJ Simpson, right? Was it People versus Mr. Juice? No, it's his friend, right? Juice. I don't know. I can't remember his name, but Mr. Juice, right? Everybody's like, oh my gosh, he played for Broncos, 1,000-yard carries and all that, season in, season out, and all that. But who he was off the court, like that huge thing became like that the Netflix series and all that. That was a huge thing. So hear me out. All I want to say is that I want more documentaries and more information about the teams. And I think that that's going to be more evident as we progress and as we understand that we're in this season right now where no sports, everything's canceled, everything is locked up, and we're not really understanding of what's going on. So I think that this is a time where more documentaries will come out in maybe 6 months to a year to 2 years or something like that, but more documentaries will be focused on different teams, different players. And I hope we'll be highlighting new teams, highlighting new sports especially. So I think that's my opinion. That's my 2 cents. That's my view on this docuseries, The Last Dance by ESPN. Now, I'm definitely going to continue on kind of like sharing my thoughts on whenever it comes out. I want to watch it and then give my opinion on that, because I do believe that this is a growing time. This is a time where we're able to take the time aside and learn who we are as a person, who we are as, I guess, as a participant to our community in this world. And with everything going on and everything being so uncertain, I do believe that we're in a time where we're able to learn about ourselves. So I think I don't want to ramble on. I'm just gonna finish this podcast right now. But I just want to, I guess, like pass the torch on to you and allow you to build your own opinion about it. I've already said that I'm looking forward to talking about it and watching it and giving my comments about it. But that's what I do. I love talking, as you can tell. I love I love having a conversation about it. So I'm going to give my opinion later on in other podcasts and all of that. So please stay tuned. Keep watching. Subscribe to the channel or to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or something like that. Leave a review, and I'd love to hear more about it in the future. Thank you so much for listening and watching. And I hope to have you stick around for the next one. All right. Stay safe. All right. Peace.